about asbestos today. I know, it's kind of a hot word and a lot of people get scared when we mention it. But asbestos isn't as bad as most people make it out to be, especially if you know how to identify it and handle it properly, should you find it in your home. My name is Vinny Verga. I'm here with Big Bob's Flooring Outlet of America, who's asked me today to talk about asbestos, identifying it and how to handle it properly should you find it in your home. When it comes to flooring that has asbestos, it's important to understand that the entire product itself isn't made of asbestos. That's to say, outwardly, there is no asbestos on the surface of the product. It's within that product, should it be broken, that asbestos particles are released into the air and can become harmful if inhaled. Those asbestos particles are not visible to the naked eye, so you wouldn't necessarily see them, and that's where concern comes and why people get nervous about that word, because you don't necessarily know that it's there. It's important to understand with asbestos, it's not an outward substance. That's to say, floors that were made with asbestos actually had it internally in the product, not on the outside. So you wouldn't see it at your floor. There are telltale signs that we'll talk about to identify, but what's important to remember with asbestos is it's only harmful if the material containing it was broken, thus releasing it, and it was inhaled. It's a clear substance, so you wouldn't actually see the asbestos. You would just know by identifying the type of products that it was commonly made with. In the 1960s up until the 1980s, asbestos was commonly used in vinyl composite tiles in different homes. So if your home was built in this time period, there's a chance that there's asbestos in your vinyl tiles. A couple of telltale signs that you might have asbestos are as follows. If your vinyl tiles are 9 inches by 9 inches, this was the common size used in the 60s up until about the 80s. So that can be one indicator. Another is if you see any black adhesive. That was very common with those type of tiles and the way they were installed. So that can also be an indicator for you. Another way to understand if you have asbestos or not is to look and see if the floor was covered. A lot of homeowners, when they learned they had asbestos, especially in the 80s and 90s, would often go over it. So if you have carpet and you ever pull it up and find 9 by 9 tiles beneath, or even if you had a different floor like a laminate and you found that underneath, that could be an indicator that you have asbestos, because instead of tearing it out and potentially running the risk of releasing the particles, they might have just gone over the floor, which is completely safe. On very rare occasion, there was some sheet vinyl, full rolls of vinyl that was made with asbestos. It's much less common than asbestos vinyl tiles, which already are pretty uncommon. Again, a telltale indicator would be a black tar-like adhesive with that sheet vinyl, and if it has anything covering over it, because again, the easiest way to address sheet vinyl, or at least a lot of homeowners do, is to go over it and leave it undisturbed. If you have any doubts whether your floor has asbestos or not, don't worry, they make a test for that. Go to your local flooring specialist or even online and find an asbestos testing kit. It's very easy to do. It doesn't take more than a week to get the results, and it will definitively tell you whether you have anything to be worried about. When handling asbestos, again, don't do it. And if you're truly concerned and you feel that you need to remove this from your home, don't attempt to do it yourself. One, it's illegal, but beyond that, it's extremely risky, as those particles can stay in the airborne for a while and could potentially get into the lungs of you or someone you love. If you have to have that flooring removed, either because of state policy in whatever state you live, or because you just truly feel uncomfortable with the discovery and want to be extra safe, you must hire an asbestos abatement company. You've looked. It's 9 by 9, there was black adhesive, and it was covered before. What do you do? Well, let's walk through the process of a couple different ways you could address that asbestos or potentially asbestos floor. The first option is to find a local asbestos abatement company. They are certified, they're professional, this is what they do. It is worth the extra investment. Don't take the risk, because it could seriously affect the health of you or someone you loved. If you have to have it removed because your state requires it, or because that makes you feel more comfortable, please consult one of these professionals. The other option would be to encapsulate it. If you seek out a local professional, they can do something called encapsulating. This process, whether it's tile, vinyl tile, or laminate, involves putting a liquid barrier between the asbestos floor and the new floor you're going to install. By encapsulating it, it traps the particles and the floor beneath what you're going to be installing, ensuring that you and anybody who's on the floor above doesn't have to worry about breakage or released particles becoming airborne as you enjoy your new floor. This is the way to go over the floor. It's less expensive, and if you're comfortable doing it, can save you some money while still being very safe. Hopefully this video on asbestos has helped put your mind at ease a little bit and showing you the steps of how you can approach it if you're worried about it in your home. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give us a like and subscribe to our channel for even more great content.